All right, if you haven't figured it out already, I've been going through the 49ers position by position, kind of giving you my thoughts on each position group, where it stands, the competitions heading into training camp, and all of that. Today, we're going to talk about the linebackers and the specialists. Um, and for me, the linebackers really, I'd say, begins and ends, but Nick Martin is a very key part of the 49ers linebacker solution here in the 2025 season. The draft pick that the 49ers took, kind of a little bit of a surprise, but maybe not a surprise when you look at his previous season and not his final season at Oklahoma State. So we're going to take a look at the linebacking core, which, let's face it, 49ers linebackers last year were not good. Not good at all. Of course, Fred Warner is an all pro. He's one of the best in the game. Now, let me rewind that. He is the best in the game. No question about it. And he got off to such a great start last season. And then the production level kind of slipped. I mean, he was still good. He was still really good. Still probably the best in the game. But he did reveal later in the season that he'd been playing with, in essence, a fractured ankle from, I believe, it was a game against the New England Patriots, where he left the game kind of early on or midpoint of the game, didn't return. Turned out it was quite an ordeal for him to get back on the field and stay on the field, which he did. And I also had a conversation with him late in the year after the 49ers had been eliminated from the playoffs. And my colleague at NBC Sports Bay Area, Dante Whitner, had said that he felt like the 49ers should shut down a lot of the veteran players and just make sure that they're ready to go for next season. And I asked Fred Warner about that. And I was just like, hey, what do you think? Why not just cash it in and sit out the rest of the season? And his answer did not surprise me. He talked about being a leader of the team, setting the tone, and he felt like it was his responsibility to get out there and stay out there as long as he physically could. And he felt like he physically could. So Fred Warner certainly sets the tone for that position group. And, I mentioned about the struggles of the 2024 season for the 49ers at linebacker. You had Fred Warner playing a little bit under what he usually plays. There was no Dre Greenlaw last season. So everybody who's, bemoaning, and rightfully so, I guess, bemoaning the fact that he will not be back with the team for the 2025 season. Dre Greenlaw wasn't out there for the 2024 season either. And frankly, it showed. 49ers went out and got Devondre Campbell. He started the season playing very poorly, started to play much better. And then, of course, the incident where Dre Greenlaw comes back and Devondre Campbell says, that's it, I'm out of here, and basically quit on the team, refused to go onto the field. I think the 49ers were hoping for more from D Winters as a rookie. And I remember, a year ago at this time, Fred Warner called D Winters the MVP of the offseason program. I don't think he took that next step last year. But again, it looked like a very impressive offseason program for D Winters. So there will be competition at that every down linebacker spot next to Fred Warner. So that's the weak side linebacker spot, stays on the field for all snaps. The Sam linebacker, the strong side linebacker, is a player that is only out there on base down, so probably only plays about a third of the snaps. But as I see it, Nick Martin is the key. The 49ers selected him in this draft in the third round, the 75th overall pick. Now, last year at Oklahoma State, he missed the final 7 games of the season with a knee injury. He is healthy as far as the knee. He's been participating in the offseason program. However, final practices of the offseason program during the mandatory minicamp, he did have a cast on his right hand, on his right thumb, to be specific. He broke his thumb in a weight room incident. Don't know exactly how that occurred, but they won't need surgery. Just put a cast on that thing, and he continued to practice. So Yeah, I don't think it's a big issue for the 49ers, for Nick Martin. I mean, it's easy for me to say I'm not the one who has the broken thumb, but I recall back in the day, I remember, Patrick Willis playing with a big bandage or a big cast on his hand, both in college at Ole Miss and also with the 49ers. In fact, there was one season there where I believe it was Patrick Willis, the Hall of Famer, lining up next to Takeo Spikes, who also had a broken hand. So linebackers can play with that kind of injury, but these 40 days off will certainly get Nick Martin on the mend, and he should be ready to go. No restrictions at all once training camp begins. But going back to the kind of player the 49ers are hoping they're getting there, three down player who does a little bit of everything. And I think that that's what Nick Martin brings to the table. A little bit of an undersized stack linebacker, but I mean, look at his junior year at Oklahoma State, 140 tackles, 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, and was a first team all Big 12 player. So he is a dynamo. The energy, the ferocity that he plays with kind of reminds a lot of people of Dre Greenlaw. And so I don't think the 49ers expect Nick Martin to step out there and be Dre Greenlaw from day one, but I think they do expect him to put himself in position to win that starting job as the 75th overall pick. So the main contribution or the main competitor, I think, for that every down linebacker spot will be D Winners. And, it's somebody the 49ers do like a lot, but I don't think really took it to the level the 49ers were hoping he would take it to last year. So right now, as I see it, a decent chance that the 49ers three linebackers in their base defense will be Winners, Warner, of course, and Nick Martin. Those linebacker positions are kind of interchangeable, so I would think that they would be competing for the weak side spot, and then the person that who ends up winning that spot, the other person, the other player would probably slide into the strong side position. And so, like I mentioned, when the 49ers go to their nickel defense, the nickelback comes in and the Sam linebacker goes out. So, not a whole lot of proven depth. Well, heck, I mean, honestly, after Fred Warner, not proven guys, period, from the 49ers linebackers. So, it remains an area where if you look at the 49ers roster and where maybe, higher priced players have eliminated the 49ers depth in some spots, linebacker would definitely be one of those positions where, other than Fred Warner, not much proven and probably even less as far as the backups and the depth at that spot. So right now, the 49ers have 9 linebackers on their 90-man roster. When the regular season starts on their 53-man roster, they can be expected to have 6 linebackers. Some of them are going to be special teams guys, but let's just kind of go through. First off, the returners. It's Warner, guaranteed a spot on the team. D Winners, guaranteed a spot on the team. And then these guys will certainly be in the mix, major competition for these spots. But Tatum Bethune, a draft pick from last year who got on the field late in the season, I thought looked pretty good. So, is it possible that he puts himself in the competition for a starting job? Absolutely. That door is wide open. Jalen Graham is back with the 49ers. He was a draft pick who the 49ers released, was picked up on waivers by the Commanders. He's back with the team. And then Curtis Robinson, who is a very underrated player. Unfortunately for him, tore his ACL during a practice in late September and was out for the season. Of the ACL guys, he looks to be further ahead than anybody else. Saw him in the offseason program doing some running with resistance bands, and he looks like he's fairly close to being able to go. Whether he will be cleared at the start of training camp or whether they'll put him on PUP, my guess is he probably starts training camp on PUP. but the Framers can remove him from that list at any point. And I would think there is a good chance that Curtis Robinson gets removed from that list and can practice during training camp at some point and then be in the mix for a spot on the 53-man roster. I mentioned the draft pick of Nick Martin. He's a lock to make the team. And the Framers did bring in one undrafted rookie, Stone Blanton from Mississippi State. He's 6'2", 227. He'll more than likely, his goal would be to win a spot on the practice squad. But there's a couple of established veterans that the 49ers did bring in, and I think these guys are mostly special teams guys, probably at the behest of the 49ers' new special teams coordinator, Brant Boyer. Two guys, special teams aces. Luke Gifford, been in the league for 7 years. 49ers bring him over. And then Chaz Surratt, who played for the Jets. He's a fourth year player. Those guys are very much in the mix. Whether both of them make the team remains to be seen. But certainly one, I think, would, because those are guys that are handpicked by Brant Boyer as special teams contributors, guys who are good on coverage teams, such as running down and making plays on kickoffs and also on punts. Okay, so that's the linebacker situation. I think there will be competition for those last few spots with, relatively speaking, probably only three of the positions of their six just absolutely guaranteed. And that would be Warner, Winters, and Nick Martin competition for those other three spots. Okay, also wanted to touch on the specialists. We're talking about not the coverage guys, but the kicker, the punter, the long snapper. John Weeks, who's an interesting guy, 5'10", 242 pounds, doesn't look like necessarily a football player, but he does one thing and he does it very well. He spirals the ball back between his legs, either 8 yards to the holder or 15 yards to the punter. Again, Brant Boyer thought that there was an ability for the 49ers to improve on that aspect of the game. So Tabor Pepper out, John Weeks in, been in the league for 15 years, 39 years old, previous 15 years, all with the Houston Texans. We're talking about 244 regular season games and 14 playoff games for John Weeks. They also bring in a new punter to replace Mitch Wishnowsky. That's Thomas Morstead. Again, 16 seasons. In the league, 12 with the Saints, 3 with the Jets, including the last two, again, with Brant Boyer, net punting average of 41.1. That's very good. So Thomas Morstead comes in. He's also the holder, but then the competition. Jake Moody, third round pick, we all know, really struggled after coming back off the high ankle sprain last year. The question is, can he regain his confidence? He's tightened up his kicking mechanics on field goals and extra points. Doesn't look like he's lost much length on his kicks with that. But man, his confidence took a beating last season. The question is, can he get his fresh start with the 49ers? 49ers have brought in a veteran kicker, Greg Joseph, South African, 30 years old. Brant Boyer had Greg Joseph on the Jets at the end of last season, so he knows him well. He's the guy that Boyer wants to bring in to compete with Jake Moody. Joseph is, he's got a leg on him, long of 61 yards. The career percentage is pretty good, 82.3 accuracy. And so the competition is real. And I think it's going to be Brant Boyer's call. I think in a lot of ways, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have kind of recused themselves from the decision making with the kicker. And so therefore, what Jake Moody, I don't think the 49ers feel like, oh, they have to keep Moody around because, he's a third round draft pick 2 years ago. I think they need to go with the guy that they feel is the best guy, and that will play out over training camp. That'll play out during the preseason. And And then, whoever makes the team, theoretically could have a short leash once the season starts. So, the pressure doesn't just end when the competition ends for who the kicker is at the start of the regular season. But that's one to definitely keep an eye on competition. Jake Moody, the younger guy, with a lot of upside, and the 49ers have invested a lot in him, but the scholarship is over for Jake Moody as he competes against Greg Joseph for the kicker job. All right, so thanks for following along the series of 49ers position by position groups. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And that is it for now.